Good morning, everyone. It is February 18th, 2022, approximately 10:15. We are starting our Jobs Committee meeting this Friday. Clerk, please call the roll.
Iqbal, Kopi, Lewis,
Lewis here.
Molina,
Molina present.
Wallace,
Here.
Ford,
Present.
Davis. You have quorum.
All right. Can I have the approval, I get a motion for approval of the minutes from the January 14th?
Molina will move.
Can I get a second?
Lewis will second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call for vote, please.
Iqbal, Kopi, Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Ford.
Ford, yes. All right, so first on the agenda is from our Workforce Development Division, our financial reports which are attached. Mr. Berger.
Good morning, Mr. Ford and members of the Jobs Committee. Beginning on page 2 of your packet, you'll find our usual battery of financial reports. My colleague Maria Gonzalez is on the phone and prepared to present those to you at this time. Maria?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Scott. Good morning, everyone. Starting on page 3 of your packet, we have hit the midpoint with these reportings for our program year. We're at the halfway mark of this year. If you note, we still have some funds in our adult and dislocated worker for the carry-in grant. That is set to end June 30th of 2022, where we are required to fully spend down those funds that we've been allocated. As a team, collectively, we have been getting together, both Scott, Renee, and his direct managers, along with myself on the fiscal side, to assess the financial situation and ensure that we are doing what we can to hit the required benchmarks of the 80% and the 50% training. Going to page 4 of your packet, that is the WIOA 21 grant. This is the one where we are required to meet the 80% obligation benchmark. Through December, we have started to spend funds for the youth and the admin. If you look in the midsection of your report, you'll see the projections and the obligations where, based on everything that we have determined will be spent and the way our current trending is, we are running low, as you can see on the adult and dislocated worker side. And that is attributed to the fact that we're still working down on the carry-in. As previously mentioned, this is why us as a team have been meeting. We actually had a meeting yesterday to kind of assess things and brainstorm to ensure that we will be obligating and spending the funds. Our training benchmark dipped again slightly under the 50% at 46.8%. This is attributed to the fact that there are a lot of new team members that have come on board. So when we started out the program year, we started out above the 50%, but as new team members came on board, our current team had to spend time training them and getting them acclimated with their position, which then caused the dip. It went up once the group of new team members felt comfortable, but now we have another batch of new team members on board where they're being trained within their positions. I'm confident and comfortable in that once everybody is up to speed on the program side, we will see that number hit and even exceed the 50% training benchmark. Page 5 of your packet is the trade grant. This grant we do have until September 30th of 2022 to fully spend down the amount that we have been allocated. I was informed that activity within this grant is starting to decrease as the participants are finishing their training. There just hasn't been much more activity. More there hasn't been many new participants that have come through from what I've seen on my end. Again, we have until September 30th to finish down the allocation. The remaining pages are the detailed reports of our accounts payable for the month. Any questions?
Do you have any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to our resolution. This is to authorize an intergovernmental agreement with our 3 colleges and within the workforce development counties, Elgin Community College, Kishwaukee College, and Wabansie Community College. This is for our training, some training services, and I believe Scott will be.
Yes, good morning. So you're correct. We do have one action item for you this morning, and we want to apologize that this was not included in your agenda packet. You should have all received it by email from us on Wednesday. And you are correct. This item does involve contracting with our 3 community colleges that serve our multi-county workforce development area. You'll recall that our workforce area includes DeKalb and Kendall counties in addition to Kane. So earlier this week, our 3-county workforce development board met and authorized Kane County to establish intergovernmental agreements with the 3 colleges, ECC, Wabansie, and Kishwaukee, to purchase training services that will be made available to our WIOA eligible clientele. These will basically be special class size trainings that will be offered outside of the college's regular semester-based course offerings. We are going to work with each college to structure the trainings over the course of the year. So there are many details that we have yet to pin down. Planning will likely occur over the next several months, and we anticipate a summertime launch of these services. But to get the process started, we are asking for you to move the resolution before you today onto the Finance Committee agenda next week. And again, just a reminder, it does authorize 3 intergovernmental agreements in a total amount not to exceed $1.5 million. All expenses will be covered by our federal WIOA funds. Any questions?
All right, let me get a motion in a second.
Molina will move.
Moved by
Lewis will
Molina.
second.
Lewis second. All right, any questions or comments? All right, seeing none. Can we get a roll call vote?
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Ford.
Ford, yes. All right, moving on. Within the chairman's comments, I received some flyers from our sheriff department. I had to bring to everybody's attention on April 19th, which is a Tuesday from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Aurora Public Library. Our Kane County Sheriff has teamed up with DuPage County Sheriff and Kendall County Sheriff, along with Aurora Public Library District, Invest Aurora, and Aurora Regional Chamber of Commerce. They're having a hiring event and job readiness. All the jobs are background friendly. If you like more information, just contact our sheriff department. Like I said, that's for April 19th. Also, it's on a Thursday for March 24th. They're doing forklift driver classes in the place in St. Charles. I think the classes are open to anyone. So it's very important that we support our sheriffs in helping getting the word out. Those classes will be from 9 to 3 p.m. and it's $25 per person. Moving forward, now we go into our committee priorities. First one is our draft revision for the County Code 24812. I don't know if everyone has had a chance to see that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll keep it rather brief, but I just wanted to give our staff recommended draft revisions to the county code, which defines the King County Board Jobs Committee. Just give everyone a second if they haven't read it, but this is the current definition of the Jobs Committee and its duties as under King County Code Section 248 right now.
And I don't think we vote on this today. This is just to bring it forward to review it.
That is correct. Thank you. Yeah, and our here is just some of our revisions. It's mostly language changing from survey to working with our partners, updating some of the language to be a little bit more modern and changing the name of the departments. So now it includes our Workforce Development Division and our Office of Community Investment. One of the things that we recommend is removing the promotional efforts of the Sparkler program that's inside of the current Jobs Committee definition. So all cleaned up. It looks a lot shorter and tighter. And I'll read this one. This committee will provide guidance to the King County Board on all matters pertaining to jobs, retention, and creation in King County, which is great because that fits the definition of the work we've done over the last 7 years. Its objective will be to maintain and increase employment in King County and to promote the creation of more jobs that pay higher wages, especially in the private economy. Community leadership and membership will work with current employers to learn how the county can protect existing jobs and demonstrate our appreciation for employers' efforts. Efforts will be made to focus attention and community resources on the employment of veterans. The committee shall have jurisdiction over the Workforce Development Division of the King County Office of Reinvestment. And this committee shall have 2 co-chairpersons, each of whom shall be members of the executive committee.
Any questions or comments?
Molina with a comment.
Go ahead, Melina.
I guess just maybe for discussion, the part of having 2 co-chairpersons, I guess I would be up to discuss whether or not that's needed. I know originally the reason there was 2 co-chairpersons was the idea of creating the Sparkler initiative and reaching out to different organizations. It seems like we've kind of established that, and we've already looked at what we need and what we don't need. I'm not sure if we really need to have 2 co-chairpersons on this committee. So I guess I'd like to hear what everybody else thought about that.
So, Anita, I actually agree with that, especially having 2 co-chairs that both go to the executive committee. Yeah, I would just change that.
Yeah, I guess I don't have a preference one way or the other, but I do understand that. Anything else?
Yeah, Lewis.
Go ahead.
Okay. The line that says efforts will be made to focus attention and community resources on the employment of veterans. I like that, but I think we should also put something on the employment of veterans, and maybe one of you guys is way smarter on the wording, but and underserved populations, or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Anita. Maybe include something to that effect
Yeah,
as
you know
well.
what words I'm thinking. Make it smart, Myrna.
Ron?
Sometimes simple is smarter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then that's why I'm on the committee then, if simple is smarter.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea to add that in there. And,
Mr. Chairman, Alan,
oh, go ahead.
not on your committee, so butting in, sorry, but in the line where it says how the county can protect existing jobs and demonstrate our appreciation for employers' efforts, I believe staff has also worked with employers to try and expand their opportunities. I'm thinking of that import-export program that we helped amplify. So could we put something in there about look for opportunities to expand the goals of current employers, something like that?
Okay. Anything else? I keep looking at the term higher wages when I keep thinking of, and I don't know quite how to say it, just the wages that are that allow you to support your family.
maybe
living wage.
Living wage.
Living wages,
Yeah,
yes.
livable wages.
Livable wages. And I'm not saying that higher wages needs to go away.
Yeah, no, I didn't like that term either, because sometimes it's the whole benefits too. So it's maybe something about living wages, and I don't know, sometimes we take a job that's not the highest wage, but it's got the better long-term sustainability and benefits to it. Maybe we should just all look at this again and kind of put our stuff and maybe send it all to you or Scott.
That's fine.
I think it's a good framework at this moment.
I don't know. Do anybody know what our timeline is with this? Yeah, I don't know if we really have a timeline. We're not to,
Yeah.
it hasn't been set up for us to vote on it today, but the day was to just make comments. So even if it leaves here, it has to go to executive committee. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah, Mark Van Kerkhoff. I was just going to note that given the timing of the board's decision to have each committee look at the definitions in their respective committees, several of the committees that met earlier this week will not be doing this until next month. So you're actually ahead of the curve on this one as a committee looking at it this month. So it certainly would be appropriate if committee members want to send suggestions to Chairman Ford and Chris Toth and Scott Berger and myself, and we can come back next month with a newer revised version, and I think you'll still be in the time frame with the other committees.
Okay, any other comments? Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, this is Alan. I have a question for Mr. Van Kerkhoff.
Competitive wages. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you. Mark, do you have a record? This takes the place of our economic development initiative for the county. Can you tell me why it's always been the Jobs Committee instead of an Economic Development Committee, or Jobs and Economic Development, or whatever?
I actually don't know the answer to that. This was the way the committee name and definition was proposed by the previous chairman. So that's certainly something the committee could review as well. If you wanted to have a stronger tie to economic development. I think the words are kind of interchangeable, but it's really up to the committee. Certainly, we hope to see some progress in a countywide strategic plan and economic development organization, which would be independent of the county board. So that would not necessarily be a direct tie to this committee.
And that initiative just comes out of, not just, but that initiative comes out of staff as opposed to coming from a committee?
Well, all the staff work for supporting that initial strategic plan and effort would come through this committee and through what would be a newly appointed Economic Development Council for people from the business community and partner organizations to be part of the process, much like we have a regional planning commission and a farmland protection commission and other commissions that work alongside the staff and the county board to make those recommendations.
Gotcha. That's very helpful. Um, did somebody already ask this question? I just didn't hear it. I thought the reason for the two committee chairs was that there would be federal money, maybe state money coming in. And so the idea was to have a bipartisan chairmanship, a Republican and a Democrat, in hopes of snaring as much of that money as possible. Have you already addressed that, and am I off base on that?
Actually, you're not. From going back to what I remember when I first started on the county board, that was the initiative. Where that's at now, I don't know how much that plays a part into us now. Your other questions about the name. It is kind of fitting that we use jobs because that's what we work on. We focus on the job and job opportunities and growing jobs and trying to create jobs and what efforts we can do for different companies. The efforts of the economic development for Kane County is going to be a second initiative and should stand alone, but it can still be a part of this committee. So maybe in the future, it would have a double title going forward. We need to wait and see where this is going with the Kane County Economic Development Initiative.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
Mark?
Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to add and clarify, as we have over the past 7 years, the various economic development related initiatives that the county board has been involved in, including the export grants, working with the regional effort and other programs, anything related to the creation, the strategic plan, creation of an economic development organization, all those efforts will be coming through this committee. So that will continue to be the case.
Thanks, Mark.
And I don't know quite what the timeline is. We've had one meeting with Madam Chair about the initiative for economic development. And I don't know if we have another one scheduled. I believe we're supposed to still meet in March sometime.
Yeah, I can report on that a little bit more on the staff report relative to the regional effort, but staff has a proposal in to for the American Rescue Plan funds for initial supporting a strategic plan and an initial look at getting economic development organization going. So staff is hopeful that funding will be approved and we can move ahead with it this year, or otherwise we'll be looking for other funding to have the initiative move ahead.
So all those on the HARP committee, we need those funds.
Mr. Chairman, Alan again.
Go ahead.
I am so sorry to just keep butting in, but here is another of the Riverboat Committee's overview. I'm going to just say it again. We take something less than $1 million. As long as there is a casino in Elgin, there will be some money coming into the county in our Riverboat Fund. And as those funds have dwindled, of course, it's become more and more precious. And we have tried to stay around $1 million in money going back out into the community, and the committee oversees all those grant requests and decides how to fund them. But we hold on to like maybe 2/3 of the money for our own programs, and economic development is one of the 3 E's: environment, economic development. What's the other one? Does anyone remember? I'm sorry, I'm just blanking on it. But the point is that,
Education.
yes,
Education.
thank you very much, Mavis. I appreciate it. I think, was that Mavis or was that Cheryl?
That was Mavis.
That was Mavis. Thanks, Mavis. There is language in the agreement for the riverboat money that some of it can go to the state's attorney for gambling addiction programs that might arise out of having a casino and citizens getting involved and not being able to handle it. But You know how some of us are, we're all equal, but some of us are more equal than others. I think that over the, over the years of that fund, because there was money there, the state's attorney's office saw that as an opportunity to use that money for programs that they wanted to support. And I get that, but it's not really a good use of the riverboat funding because it's not part of the 3 E's except by, stretching all of the angles as much as you can. But here is a place where if there were money to be spent, it should go into our environmental programs, our environmental department, and it should go into economic development, which development is overseen. It's always a struggle when the committee is looking at these requests to say, oh, how can we squeeze out just a little bit to do cost share drainage or a little bit to put into the initiatives that economic development is bringing. And it shouldn't be that way. It should be that we're looking at how can we best spend those money for environment and economic development and education, as opposed to when the state's attorney has wonderful programs, then those programs should be funded out of the general fund. They shouldn't be looking at dwindling riverboat funds. Thanks for letting me vent. I'm sorry.
And that is a good argument. I do remember when the money was plenty, how we still stuck with those 3 E's. That is a conversation we definitely gonna need to have when riverboat money, right before the riverboat money comes. I don't know what level that conversation should really to be at. As far as being on the riverboat committee, it was pretty tough trying to stretch the funds. And we were outside of the original boundary. And a lot of it had to do with, I believe, the lack of funds due to COVID also. So it was a challenge.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
Alan, for what it's worth, Madam Chairman has already commented on this. And so I know that this is, she has so many balls that she has to keep in the air. But this was at the time that the Riverboat Committee was doing its work last spring. That was one of the things that I heard her say, was that we should study how those funds should best be used and what programs they should be used to fund. Thank you.
You're welcome. That may be a committee to whole discussion for information and try to outline how we're going to attack the riverboat funds for this next time around. As far as for the economic development, it's going to be very, very, very important that funding is available to create this economic development initiative, for the simple fact that what it does for the county, the money should be looked at being multiple by tens, if not more, what it will bring back to the county as far as tax dollars. The very main purpose for your economic development department is to bring tax dollars into that area.
Absolutely, and I'll bet you that's what she was thinking when she was putting that into the ether.
Anyone else? Anything else on this? We actually have moved over into the next subject. Any staff update on our economic development, the Kane County Economic Development Initiative?
Yep, I have a few slides. First thing I wanted to talk about with our economic initiatives is a meeting we held here at the county on January 25th. Here in the boardroom, we hosted a regional economic development collaboration meeting with the Brookings Institute and Kane County. It was really great that we had over 20 attendees join us after business hours. We had people from local businesses and major employers, local elected officials, some of our partners from economic development organizations, utility companies, and it's my mistake, financial institutions. The primary focus of this meeting was to discuss our regional economic development issues and then identify those issues that are affecting Kane County. We had really, really great conversation. And if anyone else has anything to add, please go ahead. But this is an ongoing series. We'll be meeting with Brookings Institute next week to talk more. And then the next meeting in this series between Brookings and other counties and King County will continue on into March 14th.
Yeah, I'm just going to add to that. This is part of the overall effort that CMAP is leading in the region, working with the counties in the city of Chicago. They currently have two groups working on this regional question. One is the Brookings Institute, and we're happy to be one of the host sites for their work. We had a great turnout. Appreciate all the business leaders and organizations that attended in person and via Zoom. Looking forward to the follow-up from the Brookings on the 14th. The other part of that CMAP regional effort includes working with TIP Strategies, a consultant who's developing a regional strategic economic development and collaboration plan. I was on a Zoom meeting with an update on their work yesterday, and that's going in parallel. Well, it's also going very well, and we'll continue to keep you updated on those efforts. But one of the benefits of kind of drafting right behind the overall regional effort is that Chris and I are learning a lot. It's giving us reason to do things like this meeting that we hosted for Brookings, make good connections, introductions to folks who will definitely want to have participate in our own countywide strategic planning effort. So thank you.
Way to go, Mark.
All right. And any questions or comments?
Louis,
Go ahead, Louis.
is this a meeting that we can Zoom in and listen to? It sounds like it's kind of interesting.
Yes, I believe. Right.
Yeah, we're not convening the meeting, so I'll just need to double check on that to know how, widely on that is. I think we have the ability to include folks. So if anyone from the Jobs Committee is interested, just let Chris and I know, and we'll I'll try to get you connected with that.
Mr. Chairman, Bates, please.
Go ahead, Bates.
How about non-members? If you can squeeze us in too. This sounds very interesting.
Alan, too.
So
Yeah,
I guess
just
you
let it-
should check to see if the board is available. And then
Sure.
maybe if we are, then send us out a thing saying, if you don't mind.
This is
yes,
so
absolutely.
interesting. This is great. Congratulations on all this.
Oh, thank you. Moving right along. As I like to show every month, I like to show our unemployment rate table. January was a bit of a controversial month. We beat expectations. There was 150,000 jobs predicted to be added to the economy. I think the number ended up being 457,000, but the unemployment rate still ticked up 0.1%. I'm keeping an eye on that. If anyone here has read into the Bureau of Labor Statistics, how they do the unemployment rate, these are seasonally adjusted rates. That's the ones I always use. So you can look into the seasonal adjustment rates, but everyone's kind of still hovering around where they've been the last couple of months, which is where I expect it to be next month, still kind of in the same 4.4 to 4.5 range. I talked about it last month. I just wanted to show the chart get updated. We moved into 7.5% for February. It kind of went higher than expected. There was an expectation around 0.3%, but it got beat by another 0.2. And I just wanted to, this came out this week, the Federal Reserve response to inflation. There was a meeting in late January. They haven't said they're going to raise interest rates yet, but there is a strong indication as a hike is on its way as soon as March. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide, what that might mean. It's going to start, the committee is looking for how to start unwinding its $9 trillion balance sheet, which is mostly bonds it purchased in an effort to drive down rates and stimulate growth. And that's been going on since about 2008, since the recession. And as I've said in plenty of meetings, the fresh inflation readings have shown prices rising at the fastest pace in 40 years. We're looking at 1982 levels. And the target inflation average is around 2%. And the policy needs to be tighter to bring those prices down. And what I'm still learning a lot. So I sourced this. This is from economicshelp.org. It's a good site for trying to explain some stuff in a little bit more simple language. But I just wanted to show that if the interest rates do start going up, as a lot of economists are predicting, and the Fed continues to say that they plan to do this year, either in multiple iterations or in just a couple, we'll see increased cost of borrowing, higher mortgage interest payments, increased returns to savings, and hot money flowing, which is just people moving their money between different assets or different ways to make money just because of the change in interest rates, which will lead us to reduced investment, reduced consumption, a fall in house prices, and an appreciation in the exchange rate, which the overall outcome would be lower inflation. But typically when you raise interest rates, that also lowers your economic growth. So it's a balancing act. It's just something to keep an eye on. I don't want to be doing gloom, so I don't know what's going to happen, but the data that's showing that inflation is continuing to trend up. The next month, it's still expected to go higher than 7.5. How much it's going to be, I don't know. But this is just something we have to keep an eye on, because this is going to inflect everything involving our economy and our job market. Also in the news a lot, we've heard a lot about truck drivers. So I just wanted to talk about it strictly from what's going on with the US truck driver shortage. We hear about this a lot. So I just wanted to bring in some simple data. Last month, Scott Berger talked a lot about what they're doing to help train their drivers and the outcomes that they're having. So these are just some facts according to Real Clear Policy. It's according to the American Truckers Association, the US faces an all-time high of shortage of 80,000 truckers. In 2021, there were 4 million jobs postings for commercial driver's license, but they also sought past experience. 4 out of 5 US truck drivers are over the age of 45, and nearly 1 in 4 are over the age of 55. That's a bit scary. But turnover for truck drivers in fleets with more than $30 million in annual revenue was 92%. That's huge turnover rate at the end of 2020. And the Transportation Department projected last year that ground freight totals will rise by 50% by 2050 to 28.7 billion tons, which is huge because trucks transported only about 12 billion tons of freight in 2019, with most of our domestic freight to the US, from US to Canada and US to Mexico are mostly done by trucks. In 2018, the United States truck drivers drove almost 305 billion miles, which as a nerd that I am, that's 638,000 round trips to the moon. So yeah, that's a lot of mileage on the road.
That's a lot of miles.
But I wanted to reflect it again that truck drivers in the US are older than workers in general. The median rate age of the on-the-road drivers is 46 compared to 42 for all occupations. But our private fleet drivers are a median of 57 years old, and drivers in training are at a median age of 35. So we always want to continue to promote truck drivers as a great source of employment. I always say, yes, driverless trucks are coming in a few years, but let's not scare away people. This is great opportunity for work. It pays great. It's a necessity to what we need, and they are one of our backbone pillars of our society. And then finally, I just wanted to give a highlight of some upcoming job committee information meeting. Right now, I'm working on having someone from the Upper Illinois River Valley Development Association come talking about some financing opportunities available for our municipalities and the county. In March, and we hope to do the Economic Development Roundtable Luncheon, which we haven't done those in 2 years. Those are a great opportunity to learn more about what's going on at the municipal level and hear and work with our partners and see what's going on. But after talking with Committee Chairman Ford, here's some of the topics we're looking to identify and talk about in the coming months, which is identifying pre-apprenticeship programs. So how do we get our workforce ready? How are our younger workforce members getting ready to go into apprenticeship programs? What really are IT jobs, and how are those skill sets benefiting our modern workforce? And this one is the third one is something I really want to learn more about and work with our partners to get out is jobs versus careers, because we talk a lot about jobs and we talk about careers, but what's the difference and how are we marketing our efforts to define those two and messaging that to our local youth? But with that, I hand the microphone back.
Mr. Chairman Allen,
Yes, go ahead.
Chris Rock does a marvelous riff on the difference between jobs and careers, if anyone has seen that. He talked
Okay.
about his own life, where he spent time working someplace like a McDonald's where you clean the plates. And then he managed to metamorphosize into the career that he has now, and how he was really grateful for that transition.
All right, I just want to say that one thing about the trying to identify the pre-apprenticeship programs, it's a chance that we can very strongly reach out to the undeserved population, and bring more opportunities and thoughts into our younger people at a younger age. Some of these conversations I've had is talked about with pre-apprenticeship, you start reaching to junior high school instead of just high school. And a lot of programs out there have been geared towards like seniors only. But it looks like that we need more opportunity to reach at a younger age for them to start identifying opportunities in life for jobs. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. Yeah, in my previous work experience, I did work with a lot of underserved and at-risk youth. And one of the things that I'm a big champion of, and we're going to work on identifying and making some noise and celebrating our pre-apprenticeship programs, is just the lack of access of opportunity for soft skills and skill development for our underserved communities. A lot of kids don't have the education where they get to do a lot of hands-on or a lot of skill training or pre-employment training. So we're just looking at our partners, and if anyone knows of a great partner or someone doing that great work, I would love to get contact with them so we can share their work with the committee and see how we can partner up with them. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman Bates, please.
Go ahead.
So my new cause in life is going to be getting CJA money home to Kane County. And I don't know if I should talk to you or Mr. Toth about some of the workforce development that's in CJA. Maybe we can, with my math, which I do in my head, I think we're entitled to somewhere between $40 million and $400 million in Kane County. I know I did this, I didn't do it in my head. I did it on a piece of paper, and there's money, contractor accelerator programs, jobs for people who are training for people who are currently incarcerated. I'm going to call Sheriff Hayne on that. Clean energy contractor incubator programs. Let's talk.
Yeah, I would love to have that conversation with you
Okay, Ron.
in the near future.
Okay.
Okay. And anyone else? Any questions or comments? You have anything else? All right, moving on. Any new business? I don't know if we have any public on board for any public comments.
Mr. Chairman Allen,
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to I didn't mean to be insensitive by making that Chris Rock reference. I was just thinking that bit that he did would speak to young people because it was funny and irreverent. And even though he's now probably closer to our age than to the age of young people, he still speaks to a younger audience. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be insensitive.
I don't think it was taken that way. I've heard a lot of statements that that kind of defines what's going on job-wise that comedians use. Also, I'd just like to bring up, and I'm trying to, I've heard it watching a business report, but I have not been able to find it in writing yet, and that is, there's a report that's talking about by the year 2025, which is very close, there will be approximately 25 million IT jobs in the United States. So that is something that we got to keep in mind so that Kane County does not get behind the 8 ball on the opportunity to have those jobs available here and have, what's more important, people trained and ready for those jobs. All right, seeing nothing else? A
Mr.
motion.
Chairman, Tom Copeland.
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I missed roll. I apologize. I was late.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. I did identify with your name popping up on the screen.
Okay, thank you.
All right, seeing nothing else, I just want to say thank you and I appreciate everybody's comments and input. And anything else you want to bring to us, just email us or give me a call, give staff a call. I'm trying to read what everybody's putting on the chat room at the same time. It looks pretty interesting. Can I get a motion, a second, to put all our reports on file?
Lewis motion.
Can I get a second?
Molina will second.
I think it was Kopi. All
I'll
right.
take it. Kopi second.
Okay. I guess we take a roll call vote for.
Kopi,
Kopi, aye.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes. Motion passes. All reports we placed on file. I think there's no need for executive session, I believe. And now a unanimous motion to adjourn until our next meeting.
Wallace.
Wallace.
Lewis,
Any
second.
objections? Seeing none, thank you all. We are adjourned until our next meeting in March.